I created an insert to organize my distress oxides. I'm using this slim Recollections case from Michaels. There's also an Iris version of this as well. I think it's the same case, but it's just branded Recollections from Michaels, and then it's also sold under the Iris brand. But these cases are great. There's so many things that you can store that fits in here. I actually have 24 Distress Oxide, the large ink pads in here. And one of the things that I didn't like about it was that when I'm moving the case around, all of my ink is kind of moving around because there's a bit of an extra space. So I was thinking, how could I make it, to where the ink pads are kind of staying in place? And then what would I use this extra space for? So I came up with an insert for my Distress Oxide case. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to create the insert. And what's great about it is once you have all your inks in here and the inserts in here, it moves around a little bit, but not nearly as much as what was happening with the case without the insert. And also it gives you an awesome place to store your foam blending tools. And yeah, I just think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to make another one. I have 2 of these cases. I have 48 Distress Oxides. There's 24 in this case and 24 in the other. I'm going to make another insert from my other case. And if you're interested, stick around and I'm going to show you how I did it. So what you're going to need to create this insert is 2 sheets of cardstock. And I have some 120-pound cardstock here. I like using a heavier weight, but even a thinner cardstock should work. You're going to also need a scoreboard and a scoring tool. If you don't have a scoreboard, you could use a ruler and just measure with your ruler along and create your score lines like that. But we're going to use this scoreboard. And one of the things we need to figure out is we have this case and we have 3 rows, or actually 4 rows. We have 3 rows of ink, and then we have this one little one at the bottom here. And then I measured the ink pads, and they're a 3x3 square. So we're going to create a row. We're going to score at 3 to because that's the size of our ink pad. Okay, and then the next 2 scores are going to be 1 inch each, because that's going to create our dividers. So we're going to make 1 inch dividers. So we're going to score at 4 and 5. So this right here is the first row. Then we have our divider. Then we're going to make our second row. We're going to go over 3 inches to 8. Then we're going to go over 1 inch to 9. And another inch to 10. And now we have first row, the divider, second row, divider. And then we have this extra piece left over, and we're going to be cutting that away. We're going to be trimming that off. We won't need that part. Okay, so we're going to take our second sheet of paper, and on this one, what you're going to do is you're going to start by scoring at 1 inch. And the reason why we're doing 1 inch is because this 1 inch piece right here, we're going to use that to connect the 2 sheets together. We're going to glue that together. So we're going to start out with that connection piece right there. Okay, now we want to do our last row. So we want to go over 3 inches, which would be 4. So we're going to score at 4 and 5 and 6. Okay. Now we also are going to have to cut away part of this here, but we'll have to figure out exactly how big that space is that's left over, and then we'll be trimming that up with a pair of scissors. Okay, so let's first start by trimming away the excess that we don't need from our first sheet. So this is our first sheet, and you can see the score lines here. We're going to be trimming away this part over here at the end. And I love the Fiskars. This paper guide is so super portable, and it's also super easy to line up. It's got a wire guide. So I just really love this, using this paper guide when you want to be sure, you know, where you're cutting. Okay, so we're going to take that away. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold all our score lines. So I'm just going to, you could use a bone folder for this. I just really just score using my, or just fold it back and forth using my fingers. And we're just going to go along each one of these folds, or these score lines, and fold it. Yeah, this is some thick cardstocks. Our pieces folded, what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue here, and then we're just going to attach these together like this. So I'm just going to take my ATG gun and put some tape here, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of a wet glue. This is actually the art glitter glue. I love this glue, it's amazing. It flows out of the bottle so easily. Alright, and then we're just going to put those two together. And I like to use a combination of wet glue and the ATG gun, because the ATG gun may not hold it in place, but the wet glue, when it dries, it really does grab hold of the paper and it's not going to come apart. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue together all three of our dividers. We're going to turn it over. I'm going to take my ATG and I'm just going to add ATG on one side of the divider for each divider. Kind of like we did when we just joined the two pieces of cardstock together a minute ago. We're just going to add the ATG, and then I'm going to add some liquid glue. Alright, now this is probably the trickiest part, because we want to fold this over, but it does take a little bit of time for it to actually set up because the cardstock is so heavy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it, and then I'm going to set this really heavy box on there for a minute, and then we'll be right back to finish it up. Okay, so now that the glue has had time to set up and it's holding, I'm going to flip this over, and you're going to see that we actually have 3 rows and then 3 dividers, and then this extra piece over here that we're going to have to trim off. So I know that I don't have very much room there. I think I measured, I have like 1.5 inches space. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my paper trimmer, and I'm going to trim this down so that I only have 1.5 inches from this divider to the edge of the paper. So we're just going to trim this off. And so then that's what it looks like. So I'm going to grab an empty case, and you kind of need an empty case to do this, because what we're going to do now is we're going to put the insert into the case, and I'm going to make sure that the small part is down here. And actually, I don't even know that we have to, we might not even have to cut around it, because I think maybe that's going to do it. Let's see. Let's see if it's going to pop up at all. Yeah, see, it's popping up. So we do need to trim around this section right here. So at first I thought it was going to fit, and then I was like, I don't see how it was going to fit when I did it. For this case, I had to cut around it. Okay. So to cut around this little piece right here, we have this thing that juts out into the case. And so we have to make sure that we have space around it. And although it looks like it's fitting, it's really not. It's hitting this area right here. So what I'm going to do is just take my pencil and I'm going to mark on either side of that little indentation that sticks out. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to go run that mark in on both sides. And then just cut across. Scissors in there. Not the straightest draw, but okay. So then you can see now it fits in, and it still feels like it's hitting a little bit. So when I have this trouble with it, it obviously is clearing this middle section here, but it's hitting something, and I think what it's hitting is the corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off the corners here. I'm just going to take and trim the corner, and then trim that corner, and that way we won't have the corner hitting. Okay, I think that we're good. So let's go ahead and see if we can load this up and if it works. And that's awesome. Oh, actually, I could take it from the one that doesn't have the insert. Well, I hope y'all give this a try. Hope it helps y'all out there. I love being able to store my distress inks in these cases because I keep them away from my workspace, so whenever I want to use my distress oxides, I can just go grab my case, and it's awesome. It's very portable. I love that I only have to have 2 cases to fit all my distress oxide inks. And these store really well in a Kallax unit. You can fit 8 in the Kallax unit, either horizontally or vertically on the shelf, or you can use a Lechman box from IKEA, and which kind of slides into the Kallax cube, and 8 of these will fit into the Lechman box as well. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that you try this out, and if you like this video, please give it a like. If you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye now.